activated. Your weekly football fix kicks off now.
You can follow the LFC Total Red Football Podcast on X, Facebook, YouTube and TikTok.
The LFC Total Red Football Podcast with myself, Kings. Joining me tonight, we've got Kev and Neil, and we're going to be looking at the defeat against Crystal Palace in the Community Shield on Sunday afternoon at Wembley. We're also going to be talking about Kostas Tsimikas. I think that's one of Kev's favourite players, potentially leaving the club. And we'll also look at the new players to see how they did. And also there is the speculation that Liverpool could be signing Crystal Palace centre-back Marc Guehi because their chairman has come out and said they need to sell him before he leaves for free next year. So is he LFC bound? We'll discuss that and the rest of the things on tonight's show. First off, Kev, how's it going?
All good, mate. All good. Back in work after the defeat. Hopefully not a usual thing, but no, all good. A little bit hot at the minute. Like I don't know what it's like where everyone else is, but
yeah, it's a bit humid.
I know. How are you anyway, Kings? We all good, mate?
Yeah, good. A bit disappointed after yesterday. It was like, I had so much hope. I nearly messaged Neil near the end because he said, it's going to go to penalties. But then when they actually lost on penalties, it was like, well, he didn't get it quite right, did he? So it was like, right, that's it. Doesn't matter. I'm not talking to anybody about football for the rest of the day. Neil, how are you? And how was your trip down to Wembley, apart from the results? Overall, was it a good day?
All good. I mean, I think I said on Saturday's show, I think it's about 40 years since I last went to a charity / community shield game. So, and I haven't been to Wembley for a while, so it was just interesting to go and see. It's all changed around there quite a lot.
Taking all the car parks away and everything, haven't they? It's sort of built up now.
They have, yeah. So, I was quite surprised, and it's changed quite a lot in quite a short period of time. So, but yeah, it was nice. I had a good seat. You go 1-0 up after 4 minutes, you're thinking great. But it didn't quite pan out as we wanted, but I don't think it's too much harm done. And Friday is when it all starts.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, I'll stick with you now, Neil, because obviously you were there. So I will take you back to yesterday afternoon, unfortunately. So, I mean, I've seen it reported on the BBC and Slots Liverpool 2.0 got their grand unveiling at Wembley. So there's obviously new players coming out. Some have left, obviously, other players. So a slightly different kind of look to the side for this season. 4, I think, was there of the summer signings were playing. Yes, of course, we scored early on, but what was your impression of the way the team played? We've discussed on here about maybe being fluid. Was it more fixed than you thought, or was it quite interesting to watch how it developed?
It was interesting, and I think that fluidity was there, but it was in spells rather than as persistent as it might have been from what I'd seen on Monday. So I thought all 4 of the new boys acquitted themselves okay. I think Wirtz, we know, is a top player and looks like a top player. Ekitike, I thought did well. I thought those 2 linked really well. So there was that fluidity, but we did seem to crowd the left-hand side of the pitch, which then kind of isolated Mo on the right-hand side. So he was kind of anonymous as a result. Now, I don't know whether it's intentional that we're going left because that's tactically what we're trying to do, or because we've got right-footed players that naturally look left and Ekitike drifts left. So that's something that we need to look at. The one thing that was noticeable was how easy it was to play through us again. So whilst there was some lovely fancy stuff going forward, it did look in transition that we could be opened up quite easily, as we saw when Mateta went through and Ali made the save. Obviously, 5 seconds later, it led to the penalty. So, I thought there was good things, and I think there's quite a few things that we can also work on. It is a new team, so we've had Robertson and Trent at fullback for years, and now we're bringing in two new fullbacks. So we're learning how we play. So yeah, it was a bit of a mixed bag. I think Palace deserve credit because I thought. Now I thought they were going to be on a bit of a downer because of the news, that they'd have over Europe and they hadn't really brought any players in. But they were the same Palace that we'd faced at the end of last season. Tough, resilient, with some very good players and very dangerous. And I thought once it went to 2-2, if anyone was going to win the game, it was going to be them. So you have to credit them for their part that they played. Yeah.
Do you think we missed Ryan Gravenberch at the back?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's always context around these things, and I think if you look at it, probably Ryan Gravenberch and Alexis McAllister would be our first choice too. In the pivot, and obviously Gravenberch was away because I think his wife had a baby. Congratulations to them. And McAllister's obviously still finding his way back in. So whilst there was a lot of doom and gloom about how easy we were to play through and the midfield and Curtis Jones being too safe and Szoboszlai giving the ball away, the likelihood is for the bigger matches we'll have Gravenberch back and McAllister. So yeah, definitely we missed them.
So Kev, I know you said you're going to sit at home, and I'll quote your words, like a couch potato, and just watch the game. I'm sure, like every Liverpool fan, you want the win. And we just said at the end of the day, it's just a more high-profile pre-season game, really. The last one before the season starts. And as Neil rightly said, the real competition, the real work starts on Friday against Bournemouth. I think Palace arguably had two really good chances in the game, and they scored from both. So are you worried the way that players can come right through Liverpool at the moment, or do you think it just needs to settle down and, like Neil says, Gravenberch, maybe McAllister coming back in would strengthen us?
It's been a constant thorn in our backs in this pre-season. If you look at how easy it was, similar to the Milan game, very easy. And you could see from certain times when they were having water breaks, especially near the end of the game, you've got Glasner who's already talking to Marteta and pointing to the ball over the top. And that looks as a way of getting through this team and where the biggest weakness is. I alluded to it on Saturday. I thought it would be, I thought it would go towards the expansive pitch. We'd play in our favour and we wouldn't see the Palace that turned up at the end of last season. But funny enough, they did show up and they played the game. I felt we didn't get going in the second half. Thought we were really flat all the way through that, and even more so when Ekitike went off. But it has been a worry. It's been a concern for me that and I think what Neil said as well on Saturday as well of set pieces as well. Anytime the ball was going to, I absolutely love Adam Ward. I think he's quality centre mid, and you saw how he played against us, and it was his ball that opens up and Sarr goes through. That's how easy it is. Now, what's that down to? Well, Virgil's just come back from sickness, so he wasn't his best, and it showed in the game that he wasn't at his best. And when he's not at his best, it becomes even more highlighted. But then, as well as that, I just think at times we're a bit too high, a bit higher than what we were last season as well, and that's a concern. So then, although we're tighter in between the lines and we're more closer to the attack, we're leaving about a 40-yard space behind us. And on a pitch like at Wembley and the likes of Old Trafford as well, that plays into the likes of Mbuno, Cunha, and Marteta, and Isaiah Sarr. And it is kind of a worry for me at the minute. And if we can change that and get the mentality right, then we should be all right. But again, it is a bit of it's a slight concern. As I've said about the Community Shield, mate, it's exactly what Bob Paisley said. If we're in it next season, we're in it every year, then we're doing something good. And that's the way you need to approach it. it's a pre-season game. I think we're not the only team that's kind of concerned about how we're looking. But there's more positives than there are negatives. I take out of that game the fluidity between up front at times. We haven't got the red arrows going as the way we'd like it to, but there are signs of counter-attacking and exploiting the opposing team's corners, as we always do, is a way that we will attack, and you've got to be ready for that. And I just think as soon as Ekitike went off and we made a few changes, we were already flat. It went even flatter for me, and it just played into Palace's hands.
Yeah, definitely.
You can follow the LFC Total Red Football Podcast on X, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.
I'm going to pick out a couple of players each for you then. So, Neil, I'll start with you. I'll say Kerkez and Ekitike. So, just to analyse, their games that you've seen, because obviously you were there. So, how did you? We will talk about some of the others, and I know Kev's just mentioned Virgil van Dijk wasn't at his best, and if he's not, or your captain's not full pelt kind of thing, it is more uphill. But what about them two as new signings? So, how did you see them in the game?
So, Kerkez, I thought he made a fantastic block towards the end. I thought he was okay, to be honest. I think he's got a lot of pace. He's quite tenacious. We probably didn't see him get into forward positions as much as we'd like him to. I don't know. Was it him that delivered the cross for Ekitike's headed chance? I think
it was.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was.
So I think we've said before about the qualities that he's got in his crossing, and the other thing that he did do, he tended to hit quite a lot of long balls down the touchline, some of which were quite effective, some of which weren't. So I think it's going to be watch this space with him. I'm assuming he's going to start the season, but I didn't see any major concerns from him. A friend of mine described him as playing like Alberto Moreno. I thought that was a little bit harsh. But yeah, Virgil was off his game, and if that's the left side of your centre of defence, then it's not great to play alongside. And I think mentally as well, it's a friendly. Players don't switch on. Virgil van Dijk may not have switched on as he will do on Friday night. So Kerkez, I think there's more to come. I think he's got all the attributes to be a really, really good player, but obviously he needs time to develop into our system. And you could see, I think even on the second goal, if I've seen it right, Frimpong had dropped in behind the other three. So both of them are going to have to learn the system, and there's going to be issues because these are new players coming in. So yeah, I thought he was solid, a 7 out of 10. Ekitike, I really liked. I liked his movement. I like some of his touches. He's obviously a very clever player, and he worked really hard. You could, being there, it was really easy to see how much chasing he did, how much harrying he did. So I think again he's young. He linked really well with Wirtz. He did, however, as I say, kept drifting to the left. And I don't know whether that's intentional or whether that's something that he's gonna do regularly. And I did think at times that him and Gakpo were sometimes in the same spaces, but took his goal really well. I think he's really exciting because he's a different profile, isn't he? I know you've said about him looking like Stan Collymore. I get that. He's like rangy kind of, that rangy kind of build. But I think this Collymore was a good player and very, very skillful. But this guy, he's got a talent. He can dribble. He's quick, and I think on his, they'll say that was his debut. I thought he gave a very good performance. And Kev made the point. As soon as he went off, any structure the team seemed to have seemed to dissipate. Because we went to kind of box midfield, didn't we, with Wirtz and Szoboszlai, and then Elliott and Szoboszlai, and we just seemed to lose all structure. So I think from his perspective, I would rank him higher than the performance of Kerkez, because he was very good while he was there, but when he wasn't there, you also noticed it as well. So yeah, I was really impressed.
Well, I'm just going to pick up on the Stan Collymore thing, because I know he wasn't everybody's favourite, and I'm not saying he was mine particularly, but if Ekitike can give us some exciting finishes to games like he did, obviously in the Newcastle games, he'll be loved forever, because them still talked about, obviously, and I still watch them and get goosebumps now when I see the replays. Kev?
I also remember his debut goal. I think it was against Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
Left foot curler. Tremendous talent, Collymore.
Yeah.
Never really fulfilled his potential.
No, this is it. Kev, I'm going to pick out the other two players for you. So there was Frimpong on the right side, then we had Wirtz obviously in the middle. So give us your thoughts on both of them and how you thought they did.
I thought first half, I think both played very well. And you can see the slight little touches that Wirtz has been doing, and you can see that he was basically just floating where he wanted to go. You're seeing him at times coming deep, getting the ball, but potentially it was his one touch. You know, it's him and Ekitike building up, which allows Hugo to hit it into the bottom corner. So it started well, and then you got Frimpong on the right hand side, who at times looked a little bit more offensively than where he should be. But I think Neil made a great point of how much we were flowing down the left hand side than what we were on the right, and it was evident when the ball did get sprayed over to that side, because there was just those two. Whereas on this side, on the left, there was Wirtz, there was Hugo, there was Cody. So you had, and everyone basically bumping into each other, like bumper cars at the fair. You know what I mean? The amount of small spaces that they had. But on the other side, it kind of lacked that in a way. Got lucky with this goal, Frimpong. There's no denying that. But that said, I thought it was a strong performance. There was times where he wasn't in line or understands where the defensive line needs to be. But I think Neil's touched on that on the other side. I think it's that'll come with time. That, and you know, again, how many of them are actually on it. But Wirtz, I think, struggled in the second half, and I think that may be down to the structure, maybe the day itself, and you know, I'm probably making excuses, but he didn't seem to be as much involved as heavily involved, although he did get his chance on the edge of the box, and I actually thought that was going to go in the bottom corner, and it's where Mo Salah decided to hit his penalty as well. So they both showed us where Charlie Adam hit the ball in the League Cup final. So it was testament to them. But no, Wirtz uses class, and you know, although it probably wasn't his best, the glimpses you've seen, and especially in the first half, and how he was linking up with play, you can see what's happening with this team. And as I say, he will just be floating around. He's floating more around the left-hand side of the pitch than on the right, but he is trying to link up. I didn't see the link-up play that he had with Mo, which is what I was expecting. I had this mentality of having watched Monday. I thought it'll be a lot more fluid than what it was on Monday. But I don't know whether they changed things tactically for the game. I don't know if they were told different things to be, or how we wanted to play was different. But you could see that we were. It wasn't as fluid as it should be. But the two players, Frimpong and Wirtz, played as well as the other two young players that started and made the debut. But you know, apart from them, you know, it was a decent game, and they come out of it with at least a 7 out of 10 for me for both of them.
Like and subscribe to the LFC Total Red Football Podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, I will pick up on Florian Wirtz. He walked on the pitch and ran around the pitch with his socks only like halfway up. Kind of, he didn't pull up like a proper footballer. Kind of, he was just nonchalantly got them halfway, you know. And I thought he's just kind of like, he seemed quite easy. He was quite relaxed, and like I say, he just had that attitude. I thought, he knows he's good. He's going to show us that he's good, and we're all going to lap it up. And hopefully that just, kind of gets better and better, because they did pay a lot of money for him and they've done their homework on him. And then I think he is an exciting player, and hopefully it all gels together. It does take time. At the end of the day, even Kerkez, we're saying he's played in the Premier League before with Bournemouth, so everyone's like, well, he'll just slot in. It's like, it's not quite the same. It's a completely different level at playing at Anfield, playing, these top games with top players. So he's going to find it. I'm sure in the future, if you ask him, he goes, yeah, in the first few games, first month, he's probably a little bit intimidated by it all. And I can see why. You get overawed because, you're playing next to Virgil van Dijk, who's been there and done it now. You're playing on the same pitch as Mo Salah, who's idolised the world over kind of thing. So it must be a little bit intimidating coming in going, right, I've now got to show these that, yes, I'm good, but I'm very good to be in this side and stay there. So I can understand.
On that though, Kings, you've also got the consistent factor where you can get away with 1 or 2 games out of 10 out of Bournemouth and play well. You're now at a club where you've got to be consistently a consistent 7 or 8 week in, week out. And any mistake you make is going to be highlighted and minuscule to another level because of it. And some, he has got the mentality to do it. I think he will have. Otherwise, we wouldn't have paid the money that we did. But that pays a big thing. It's the step in class. It's that consistency that is required week in, week out, which is a challenge in itself.
I'll be honest. When they signed him, I was like, right, this is a big deal, as in, a big deal for fans to watch him, not a big deal money-wise. And yet, weirdly, I'm looking over the last few games with Ekitike playing, and I'm like, I don't know why. I'm edging towards him for kind of like, oh yeah, he's the man I'm going to watch most. And I don't know why I feel like that, because Florian Wirtz has never done anything wrong. He's hopefully going to be the superstar who creates everything. But I don't know, there's something about Ekitike that I think, do you know what? He's got a few flicks and tricks in himself. And I think he's going to be exciting. But hopefully, altogether, it's going to be an exciting watch. Just looking at the game and the goals, obviously Ekitike scored very early on. As you said, Neil, you kind of sit back and think, right, we're okay here. And then it gets pegged back to 1-1 with the penalty, which I seen the replay, and first of all I shouted, and I was like, no, it's not a penalty. And then you look at it and you go, yes, okay, fair enough. It's but then from there I was looking at it going, right, okay, we really need to do something a bit different, maybe get straight back in the game. And they did that really quick. And what I found was, I suppose it has been talked about, of course, everybody was applauding in the 20th minute for Diogo Jota and Andre Silva, which was a fantastic thing. I'm not going to mention the first part with the referee at the very beginning because it just didn't go well at all. But the applause on the 20th minute and then Frimpong scores. It was perfect timing for that. So at that kind of point, with them goals like that, are you thinking we're going to be all right here? We'll be okay? Yeah,
I think interestingly or significantly, the goal came on 20 minutes and 20 seconds, didn't it? So quite fitting that happened. Yeah, I think maybe as supporters, we become a little bit complacent. As I say, you score after 4 minutes and you think, oh, this
going to roll these over.
Could get 4 or 5 here. And then the same, you go 2-1 up and you think, yeah, we're back in control here. But it never really happened, even after the second goal. I can't think of. We had the Ekitike chance, didn't we, at the start of the second half?
Yeah.
Gappo, didn't we? Gappo had that chance in the first half, didn't he?
He did, yeah. So, and I think that's the thing. I didn't feel we were in control. We were winning 2-1. I didn't feel that we were controlling the game. I thought they were given as good as they got. But we could have been 3-1 up quite easily if Gakpo scores or if Ekitike. I mean, Ekitike, from what I could see, should have scored. It looked like a straightforward header, straight down. So there was a bit of doom and gloom afterwards because we'd come away and we'd lost on penalties. But even having the issues that we've got structurally at the moment, which probably just needs some tweaks to iron out, and not playing that well, we could have quite easily have gone in 3-1.
Yeah.
At half time or just after, and it had been a different story. But yeah, as soon as you go up, you know, a bit of complacency amongst the supporters as well, and you could feel it around. Like you could feel it around. Everyone was like, "Yeah, 2-1. Here we go. We're gonna go on and win this easy now." So
well, I'd said 3-1 on the pre-match game.
So
I was like, right. Well, we're okay. Yeah, we did. Yeah. And I thought, right, we're on here now. It's 2-1. No problem. We've kind of got that out of our system with the penalty and everything. And then it just fell apart again.
Yeah.
But there we are.
It's just small things. But yeah, they can be worked on. And as I say, we could have quite easily have come out. You get that third goal and it probably kills them off. So
yeah.
Kev,
are you in agreement with Neil when he said, obviously, when they equalised the second time, they probably looked more likely to go on and win the game?
Yeah, I actually thought they were going to score near the end as well. I thought they had the momentum. And very much so in the second half. But up until they equalised, we had a few opportunities. And I think as Neil alluded to, if we would have took them, we would have actually. We wouldn't have seen what Palace did, but they kept themselves in it, and we didn't help ourselves at times. There was a few errors at the back, and the way we were playing as well. Our passing wasn't as good as what it was. It wasn't quick, it wasn't fluid. It was a little bit lackluster at times, a bit tentative, trying to do the right thing, but staying in the negative. Or I'll just play it safe and let you deal with it. A few players that weren't on it as well. A few players coming back from pre-season and not up to the level where everyone else was. So we had our issues, and the formation as well. So we have enough excuses to come away to go, well, look, it wasn't really us, but at the end of the day, it's not too bad. But yeah, as soon as they scored, I thought, this is it. They'll go on to win it. And even when I went to pens, I only thought there was only one team who actually wanted to take them. So, you know, I hope Mo's off pens for a while, because that's 2 pens he's now had. And I don't know whether he's got a bet on how many pens he can make look like Charlie Adam. I don't know, but it is a little bit worrying. And I don't know whether it's the boots, whether it's the pin. I'd like to think it's the change in ball, but I don't know what it is, because, you know, I can see what he's trying to do, and he's hitting pens the way I would. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, it's slightly concerning, but he didn't have the best of games. Do you bring that into it? You know, it's, you know, there's loads of things, but, you know,
there's lots of factors.
Yeah, but credit to them, and to be honest, you know, you know, it is baffling when you start seeing how many times the FA Cup winners have actually won it rather than the League Cup, the league winners. So, you know, I think it's something stupid, like 14 out of 16 or something stupid like that. Wow. And if a league team has won it, they haven't won the league the following season. So if we start looking at that, do we come away with a bit of, well, we didn't want to win it anyway, like, do you know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? You know, we have the opportunity. We got the opportunity for the excuses. To be honest, taking that away from to Palace, I think Palace played very well. If they keep the players that they've got, which I very much doubt they will, but if they can keep the players that they've got a very good side, and you know, maybe the challenge of Europe may be a bit too much for them with the small squad that they've got, but, you know, credit to them, the way he's got them playing, he's got them playing great football. And, you know, you look at Isaiah yesterday, I thought Isaiah had a decent game. Marteta, I quite like as a centre forward. His 2 pens taken exactly the same, but the second one was a lot better and had more power somehow. I don't know how, but no, quality, you know, and, you know, the young lad scoring the winner, quality penalty as well. So, you know,
yeah,
I'm not that.
No, I know you're not. I know.
The LFC Total Red Football Podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts from. Also available on your smart speaker, or you can watch us on YouTube.
Neil, I've got to be honest, first of all, I was glad there was no extra time, because I know they say 30 minutes extra time, but by the time you have the little mini break at that and then a bit of extra time added on there, you're probably talking another 40 minutes almost, or not far off. And it's like, could really do without that, even though it's early in the season. Nobody wants to get too exhausted straight away. So it's like, okay, straight to penalties. Liverpool win the toss and say, well, obviously have it in front of our own fans. So are you then thinking, right, we're going to win? Were you confident at that point, or were you just a bit like everyone, like, I'm not sure here, because they didn't cover themselves in glory. I've seen, and I think it's a usual thing now, but on Henderson's drinking bottle, he's got particular notes about things like that. And I'm going to give the guy credit. He's actually very good at saving penalties. He's a decent shot stopper for doing penalty saver. Sorry. And so, were you confident when it went down to penalties?
So again, in the crowd, when it became evident that we'd won the toss, there was this big cheer, as though we'd won it. So again, whether complacency had crept in amongst the supporters. I just want to touch on the point about extra time. I think it's a good change that because I'm sure it used to go to extra time, didn't it? And then before penalties, but you had Wirtz cramping up, you had Guehi cramping up. Yeah. So I think there's obviously a big injury risk to the players of as you play longer and longer. So I think that's one sensible change that's been made. And as I said, the crowd, as soon as we won the toss, we thought, yeah. And then you see Mo stepping up, and you're thinking he's not going to miss another one, is he? And it was a terrible penalty. Yeah, so I think he might be overthinking it, and he's trying to do. I don't know what he's trying to do. So I think he'll probably remain as the penalty taker for now, because it's probably not a conversation the head coach wants to have. But it was a terrible penalty, and he needs to get that right. We will. I bet we get a penalty on Friday, and then he'll be tested. And I think he'll just go back to what he did last time he missed a couple, was then just start blasting it and make sure it hits the back of the net. So he missed, and then I think they scored, and then Maka steps up. You think Maka's a very good penalty taker, he's going to score, and that was probably that was a really, really good save, wasn't it? I think that one was quite low down to the left, and it was a good save. And then they missed, and you're thinking, oh yeah, hold up. And then Cody scored, and then what happened? Harvey Elliott was the next one to miss, wasn't he? Yeah. And as soon as he missed, loads of supporters got up and left, which I found quite staggering, because they actually missed the next penalty, didn't they? I think they hit the bar and then come down and hit Ali. And then Szoboszlai, Dominic took a very, very good penalty. And then, as Kev said, Devaney's penalty was really good. So I think once we'd missed the first one, that kind of buoyancy in the crowd and complacency had kind of worn off. And as I say, when we were kind of 2 behind, loads of people had got up and walked out, which I felt was a bit strange. But we kind of, we laugh about missing penalties and whatever, but they can be quite crucial. So in my glass half empty mind at the moment, I'm thinking, if you're going to miss penalties, miss them pre-season.
Well, yeah, of course.
So I'm hoping that the bad penalty taking is out of the way, because it's worrying when Salah misses penalties and has done, but he'll score more than he'll say, but than he'll miss. But then Maka, if I was going to you're going to guarantee anyone to score that you won on a penalty, because probably if you ask people if before yesterday, if Mo Salah's not going to be the penalty taker, who would you want? Most people would say McAllister. They may say Szoboszlai now after what, because you saw him ping one in the top corner. So miss them pre-season and then get them right for the real business.
Yeah, well, just rounding off on that, Kev, missing 3 penalties in any penalty shootout, at the end of the day, you don't really deserve to win then, do you? Because it's like you'd expect them to be better on target. It happens. It's just one of them things. And it's like, well, as Neil's just said, it's better in pre-season in a game that's kind of like, well, we're not bothered, than in a league game or a cup final as such, isn't it?
It is. it will be funny on Friday, and how many fans have actually got Mo Salah as captain or on a triple captain in the FPL, and there's a penalty step up, and see the looks on their faces if he does miss one. Look, I'll just laugh at it. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. By the time you get to that stage, you know what I mean? It's 50-50 who wins, you know what I mean? And we've had penalties. I think the worrying thing on the drama thing that Sky will like is the fact that it's the second time we've been to Wembley and the second time we've been defeated, and it's another penalty shootout that Liverpool haven't won against PSG, and now this one, do you know what I mean? So, it's that, you know what I mean? So you'll have all this kind of drama and pretense going on, but see what happens. I'd put Wirtz on penalties myself personally, but we'll see. It'll be. I hope we do get a penalty, because if we do, it'll be nice to see who's going to step up and take it. Do you know what I mean? So it was mad there and Paul Tierney on VAR yesterday. I thought he was going to give the McAllister penalty, where he handled it. But he may have been at an executional chair that he was sat in. I don't know, but for some reason he let us get away with that one. So.
Well, I've already seen quite a few things on social media. It's already starting that is it the PGMO, PGO, whatever it's called anyway.
PGMO,
them. And the FA are fixing it that Liverpool are going to get all the VAR decisions because they should have had loads against them yesterday. It's like, we haven't even started the season yet. Just give it a rest. But we'll see how it balances out over the season. A couple of other subjects I wanted to talk about. I'll start with you, Kev, on this one. Is Kostas Tsimikas expected to leave Liverpool? Was left out of the squad against Palace. There's been rumours about interest from Notts Forest, amongst others. It's like, so what do you think on this? Happy?
Good move for him. As I said yesterday in our comments, he's, I stand alone with how I am about him, because I've actually seen and witnessed a few things while I've been at the match, which is kind of concerning if you were a left back at Liverpool on the yard. But for me, look, he's had his moments, and we can all pick out how good he is. Some people say he's got a good crossing. I'd say it's inconsistent at best. I think, he has never challenged Robbo, so Robbo's never felt as though he's had any kind of challenge to be playing at left back. Sadly for Kostas, he hasn't had a run of games that allows him to get into the team or challenge, and when he does, gets injured. The majority of times when he does start, he's the first player to be subbed off. There's been times where he's actually being played at left back, and I don't know whether the team have done it, but it's as though they're playing with a pools winner, a competition winner, in the fact that he doesn't actually get the ball that much. And I'm being serious about that. There have been times where the ball has been on to Kostas, and they refuse to play the ball to him. I'm not being and if you go through his touch maps in certain games, I think it may be in a season or 2 seasons ago, and I think he only touched the ball about twice or once. There's times where Virgil's actually running through a game with him of where he needs to be when he does play. I think look, he's great around the team, but I do feel at times that he has been like a competition winner on that pitch, and we've actually played with 10 rather than 11 players. That's me personally. You've heard me analogy, he's the only Greek that will go to a wedding and find a carpet with his plate. That's how good he is. Look, when you're at the level of Liverpool and you have Kostas, don't get me wrong, there's times when he's come in and he's been great. We don't win the League Cup without his cross. We don't win the FA Cup without his penalty. I get that. He's had his moments. He's a cult hero with a lot. For me, I've never seen it. I've had heart attacks when he's been on the pitch more than when he's off the pitch. I'm more concerned when he's on the bench, because then I fear that if Robbo gets injured, we are left down there. When he has played last season, it's been highlighted as part of a weakness. He has no pace. He can get up and down. He spends more time in front of Mo Salah and Cody Gakpo than what he does getting at the back and helping out with Virgil. There's times where he's been lucky within games. Leicester, he's cost us a few times. Brentford away is another game where he cost us 2 goals. And unfortunately, there are levels when you come into this team, and the levels have gone up as we've talked about over the last week. Those levels are a bit too high for him to hit, but I expect him to hit them at Notts Forest. I think he is a Premier League player, and I wish him well.
You're listening to the LFC Total Red Football Podcast.
Neil, what's your thoughts on Tsimikas? Obviously, like Kev says, he hasn't really taken the challenge to Robertson. He seems the obvious one now to move on. Obviously, now we've got Kerkez. Robertson come on yesterday. So it just seems the natural progression now that he's going to be the one that moves on, isn't it?
Yeah, and to be honest, I think when we bought him, we paid 12 million quid, I think. It was during the COVID summer. Yeah. I don't think he was bought with anything else in mind other than being a backup.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at the mentality he's adopted to his role in the squad, he's been first class. Because he is well liked in the squad. He doesn't create a fuss because he's not playing. Now that's, you can look at that 2 ways. You can say he needs to be more ambitious because you really want him pushing the player that was there. But I don't think under Jurgen Klopp, Robertson was ever going to be dropped. So
no.
In terms of his on-the-field contributions, I think he had one very good run before. I think he dislocated his shoulder when he got pushed into Jurgen Klopp, and I actually think he was playing quite well. But he does have those mad moments, and it reminds me a bit of Dan Lovren, that you could get 3 really good games from him, but you know that there is a mistake around the corner. And I think I think for the 5 years or whatever that we've had him, he's been perfectly fine. He has had his big moments, and he's contributed a lot. But the time feels right now for him to move on before, before he might get found out if he carries on. So for me, he was only ever bought as a backup. He's been a good backup, had good moments, but now, as Kev said, the levels have lifted and the expectations are higher, and he might not be able to meet those expectations. But I think, as Kev said, he can go to another Premier League club and do quite well. Now, whether Andy Robertson is able to perform at the level required anymore is the jury's out on that for me as well. But it's one area of the squad where you can think, actually, we've brought Kerkez in, he's going to be the starter. We need one as a backup. One is surplus to requirements. So in that area, it makes sense for someone to go, and it probably makes sense for it to be him.
Yeah, I've got the feeling that Robertson will rotate, but not as much as maybe he wants to. And I think he's got 12 months of doing that, and then I think he'll move on. Possibly there's rumours, maybe up to Celtic or whatever, but I don't know how that'll play out. But I think he's got 12 months of kind of like, I can tell my time's coming to an end, because the younger version is now getting, kind of more and more game time, and it's my time. So next summer, I think they may bring in a number 2 again, similar to Kostas maybe, but we shall see. He'll probably go to Notts Forest or somewhere else in the Premier League, and he'll have a stormer just in front of Kev when he comes as the opposition player.
To be honest, Kings, I hope he does, because I think at a lower level, with the consistency and the level of what needs to be done is far less in your face than what it is when he does play. So it'll do him the world of good. It'll do him confidence. Also, it's a Greek chairman in charge as well. So, the pair of them will find the carpet. It's fine. But for me, it's look, you had the professional way of dealing with it in Neil's response. Me, I can't sit on the fence as much as Neil. I've had hard sacks of look. I agree with how Neil approached his answer. I never at all. But it is in him. It is in him to have a little go. But I will say, and as Neil's alluded to, you're either 1, 2, or 3 games away of him absolutely having a howler, and you know it's going to happen. You can't deal with pace. Honestly, I'd like to see him against Ekitike when we play him at the City Ground, or ball over the top. Let's see what he does then.
Well, I got to be honest. When you said yes, you'll come on tonight's stream, and then the news was coming out about Tsimikas, I was like, this is a perfect match for today's episode. So I'm glad you came on and give your opinion.
Well, at the end of the day, I won't sit on the fence. I will say as it is, but it is hard, and I've made a few who sit around me notice it when he does play, and it is striking how the ball is never played to him on the left-hand side as much as what we do when it goes on the right-hand side. It's funny how the players will know that he's on, but will rather play a harder ball or tougher ball to someone else. That says a lot for me as to how confident they are that you're going to do the right thing if I was to give you the ball now.
I always felt that Virgil never was as comfortable with him.
No.
You could always see that he's on at him all the time. So you could sense it. You can sense it from that as well, that he didn't feel as.
And Trent was getting what Kostas was getting last season as well.
Yeah,
and it's surprising what you see week in, week out, and it's surprising when you go on the match and you'll notice these little things. And Virgil kicking off. Honestly, I know everyone could hear Hendo, but honestly, when Virgil starts,
it was a big booming voice, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
No, and it does. It reverberates around the ground, especially like when the atmosphere dies down. 15, 20 minutes, you can hear it. It's quite audible.
The final subject we're going to talk about tonight, lads, is we're actually going to go back to the subject of Crystal Palace. I didn't want to roll it all into one earlier on, so I'll come back to it now. Their chairman, Steve Parish, has said the club will sell Marc Guehi this summer to avoid losing him on a free at the end of his contract. Now, there's been lots of speculation. I know that Newcastle were in for him in January. I think they offered about 65 million for him. Palace obviously said no. And he helped them to European qualification, obviously a win at Wembley. He was on the field yesterday, did get a bit of cramp and go off, but I think even the Liverpool fans give him some kind of credit while he was coming out. Now maybe that's an expectation that he's going to be wearing red very soon. I'm not sure, but they did give him some respect yesterday, and I can understand after going through with the number 66, who not allowed to name anymore, of leaving on a free transfer. I can understand where Steve Parish is coming from, because it's potentially a lot of money. There's rumours they want 45, 50 million for somebody in the final year. But it doesn't matter. Even if they got 25 million for him, it's like that's better than zero, which is quite possible would happen next year, isn't it, Neil? So I can see this happening. Can you see it being to Liverpool or to somebody else?
I hope it's to Liverpool. I was really impressed with him yesterday. I thought he defended outstanding. I think he showed a range in his passing, that, and probably because of the links to us, I'm looking at it more. But a couple of times he's hit lovely crossfield balls, and it made me laugh actually. So they were running through the teams, and they were going, Henderson, big boos from the Liverpool end. It got to Guehi, and everybody cheered. So everybody's kind of thinking, he could end up with us. So I think if you can get him for a reasonable price, it's a no-brainer.
What is a reasonable price though now? What do you think? In football and terms, what's a reasonable price for somebody with one left?
Maximum 40 million, I would say, because the thing is, if he's not in that contract situation, you are talking about 65, 70 million. So he immediately becomes, a valuable asset to us as soon as he signs a long-term deal with us. So in terms of his leadership qualities, his defensive qualities, he's not as tall as some of the others, but he's still quite good in the air. Established Premier League player. It's a bit of a no-brainer. So it seems to be a toss-up from what I'm just seeing now as well, that Fabrizio Romano's suggesting that if he was to predict, we would get the guy from Parma, the one that Kev was talking about on the last show. So I'd like both, to be honest, because I think that would be tremendous.
Neil's greedy.
Yeah, because I am greedy. But I'd be really happy with Guehi because he just seems like a fantastic professional. You know exactly what you're going to get, and I think he seems, as per the reports, want to come. He does seem to want to come to Liverpool. Good injury record. I just don't think there's anything not to like about it. And I think if we can get a deal done for as I say, I think 40 would be the most I would go to, but I think 30, 35 would be reasonable.
I think it kind of ends up, Edwards tries that. He comes in at like 30, 35 million plus add-ons if they get, and that seems to be the way that Liverpool tend to do it when Edwards is negotiating. So, I mean,
add-ons being like you got to win 3 Ballon d'Ors, 6 European Cups,
win the first game on the moon or something like that.
But in terms of it's an opportunity, isn't it? Because normally you are paying 60, 70 million for a player of that quality and background. So, I'd really like to see it. And I think it's possible that the noise has kind of ramped up since yesterday. So with Quansah gone, we need someone in, and him or the lad from Parma. I'm sure either would be very good.
I think it's quite telling, Kev. I mean, he's 25 years old, and like we've said, if he was tied down longer, he would be a lot more expensive. But it's quite telling that Steve Parish has come out and said this after the Community Shield. Whether it was against Liverpool or not, I think is irrelevant. But he's waited until they've had another big game, they've won, everybody's on a high, and it's like, didn't want to mention it before, obviously. Didn't want to maybe rock the boat. But now seems to be, right, there's a few weeks left of the transfer window. Good age for Liverpool if they were to go for him. I know we've talked about the other guy from Parma, but where's your top limit with him? What would you pay for somebody like this to be at Liverpool? And we've discussed on different shows, we need another centre back. We are short because sooner or later, like even yesterday, we said Virgil van Dijk was just not on it. I'm not saying to replace him, but Konate gets injured and gets knocks, etc. Joe Gomez is out at the moment; he can't play all the time, so we need another centre back. Would he be good enough to fit in at Liverpool?
100%. Everything what Neil said, I agree with. The price, and especially both of them. With the young lad from Parma, I'd buy with and loan him back to Parma. And see if you can reduce the price on him that way. The difference you get with Palace and how we dealt with Trent is that they actually physically need the money. They'd rather have the money than the player for the season, because that money could. I think with him coming out, he's opened the likes of Man United, Newcastle will come in, possibly a Chelsea come in and try and offer him, and then there's a slight little bit of an auction for him. But I think the damage was done. I think they should have accepted Newcastle's 70 million last season in January. That was peak. That's how much you're going to get for him. They did 155. With him now coming out and saying, we are looking to sell, that reduces the price. So it then plays into where he wants to go. I think Guehi's issue with coming to us, or only issue, is game time, because it's a World Cup year. And he is England's best centre-half. So
could he displace Konate, do you think, and play regular alongside Virgil van Dijk?
I see a few things happening. I can see that happening. I can also see us playing 3 at the back if Guehi came in as well. And I think that will make us a little bit more fluid, a bit more formation-wise, will probably is the best setup for the offensive mindset that we've got. And I think if you've got a Guehi, a Virgil and Kanate at the back and a Grav in front, that's phenomenal. That way, you know what I mean? And then you got the 2 wing backs as well with pace. I think that's fine. I think the only concerns with Guehi is probably his height with some people, but I don't see that as an issue. The other issue is the game time you'll get at Liverpool. And I think if you look at the amount of games that we will get, the amount, if you base it over 68 games, he'll probably play about 20 of them, 30 of them. Add in the 10 that Kanate mixes, there's a full season that he'll have, no question. So there will be game time for him. And I think if we can get him in, it's a shame we've spent all the emphasis on Isak over the last 2 weeks. I would have liked to have tried and nailed him down and had him going into the Community Shield rather than the week leading up to the game. We then go, we need the centre back, which I think is a little bit not right in how how we approach the transfer window. Don't get me wrong. There's within that you've got a bit of turmoil within the squad, and especially losing such a great player in Jota as well hasn't helped either. But it's we are leaving things to the last minute. I think when it should have been dealt with a little bit earlier than what we have done. Yeah. Or at least show that we can actually a man can actually multitask and do the Isak and the Guehi thing at the same time, rather than Mrs. Hughes thinking he can only do one job at a time. So,
just before we wrap up, lads, we're normally on air on a Monday. The first game the season is at home this weekend on Friday night against Bournemouth. So I'm going to quickly just ask for your thoughts. Neil, score? Are they going to win, draw, lose? What do you think?
I think we'll win. I think there's an opportunity to take advantage of a Bournemouth side that's, lost some of their best players.
I was just going to say it's been announced. Is it the Zabarini? Yeah. He's been confirmed. He's going to Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah. So they've lost him. They've lost Hoyson. They've lost Kerkez. So 3 of their back 4 from last year. They've still got Senesi, who's a decent player. So I think they'll strengthen, but their strengthening will come towards the end of the window. So I think it's probably a good time to play them. I hope that yesterday's complacency from players and supporters will hopefully give them, like Kev mentioned it yesterday, a kick up the backside, and we'll go out with renewed vigour and intent and hopefully see them off. So I'm going for a 2-0 victory. Clean sheet.
Yeah, okay. Kev?
Oof. Yeah. Look, Friday night under the lights. Oh, there you go. I agree with Neil. It is a great time to be playing. If you were to cherry pick a team to be playing, Bournemouth would be one of those teams that you'd be cherry picking to play against.
Okay.
Teams being decimated in an ultimate area in defence with the 2 centre backs and the left back gone. Also losing a keeper as well in Kepa. He's left as well and gone to the mighty Arsenal, isn't he? A typical Arsenal thing to lose by Chelsea's unknowns, do you know what I mean? And people they want to get rid of. So this is ample time. Hopefully we deal with our defensive frailties that we've shown over pre-season. Hopefully we deal with set pieces a lot better. We're not as high up between the lines, and we're not. We get rid of this high line, or at least drop at least 2 yards or 3 yards at least for that. Expect the same team that started in the Community Shield is probably the team that we're going to start with. And I expect a 4-1 win.
Ooh, 4-1. So I'm going to say, I'm lucky enough. I'm chuffed a bit. So I've got tickets for the game, so I'll be there to watch it. I'm going to go with a clean sheet, but I'm going to say 3-0. at the end of the day, as I've always said, in any football match I ever go and watch, I don't care if they win 1-0 in the last minute off the back end of the goalie going in. I don't care. As long as there's a win and 3 points up the board, you know, ultimately that's what counts at the end of the season. But we all want to see nice football, so hopefully that happens. But we shall see what happens on Friday against Bournemouth. I want to say a massive thanks to Kev and Neil for joining us tonight on the LFC Total Red Football Podcast. As you can see on the ticker going across the bottom there, you can watch us on YouTube and TikTok. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, your smart speaker, or wherever you get your podcast from. So please tune in, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube as well. And we'll see you on the next episode next week.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time for more LFC Total Red Football Podcast.